Hello, my name is Matthew Hunter. I'm a 23-year-old male that lives in Canada and also the host of the AnarchistPodcast. It is Christmas Eve and I have a message I wish to share to any of those who will get this, to my friends and family who may find and come across this video on my social media platforms. I have a message I wish to share with the people who care to listen around this holiday times. Because with Christmas comes family get-togethers, and usually around Christmas time everyone gets together, has their turkey dinners, and opens gifts underneath the Christmas tree. But it's an opportunity where family gets together and sits around the dinner table. And it's one of the few times around the year where the family manages to all get together. So this is a perfect opportunity when the family's all together to discuss important issues that our society and us as individuals face. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world right now. Now, there's a lot of good as well. And I don't want this podcast and this short video to seem too doom and gloomy, but we have to face the facts and accept the reality in which we live in. Every day that there is wars being waged, innocents being killed, government debts which sell future generations into slavery, debt slaves. Your government, without any probable cause or reason to, is collecting all of your information, personal information about you. We see acts of terrorism committed every day, police killing innocents in the streets, rights and freedoms being violated on a daily basis. So I would encourage you people listening to this, take advantage of this time that you're sitting around the dinner table at Christmas with your family to discuss these important issues that may not make you feel comfortable to talk about, that may upset the family when you bring them up. But I would say to all you who choose not to speak out and use your voice and use any kind of means to decry the horrendous criminal acts committed on a daily basis against our fellow human beings, you are cowards. Those of you who wish to not speak out because doing so would make you be ostracized by your family, make you feel slightly uncomfortable, talk about issues that people don't want to talk about because they may be depressing. You people are cowards, and your silence will only make the situation worse. Any financial expert who takes a look at the economy, at the debt, at our GDP, will tell you that we have gone too far in debt, and there's no way of pulling ourselves out of this situation. All the financial experts who know what they're talking about are all predicting at some point this will all come to a head. All this debt accumulated by these countries around the world, United States, China, Canada, all these countries with all this mass of debt, at some point in time, the bill will have to be paid. And there's no money to pay the bill. And it will lead to a financial collapse which will lead us into wars and riots in the streets. Because when the financial collapse happens and the government can no longer pay the debt that they've been promising to pay, they come to the realization that, it's gotten too out of control. All of the social welfare programs will cease to exist because there will be no money to fund them. And when that happens, people will literally not have money who rely on those social programs to live. And when people's way of life is threatened, they make irrash decisions. They start to act for their own selfish interest. And it leads to chaos, violence, and rioting in the streets. If anyone has studied history, knows what this all is going to lead to. No one can disagree with me listening to this podcast and this video right now. The government is not corrupt and isn't violating our civil rights on a daily basis. We use the war on drugs as an example. There may be people listening to this right now who don't agree with drug use, and I'm not promoting it as a healthy or good thing to do. But any rational human being can at least understand that to cage a human being and to violate his rights and freedoms, to lock him up, throw away the key, for using a substance that only harms himself and no other individual. The act of caging that individual, taking his freedoms, is more harmful to him than the drug in most cases itself. Not to mention the contradiction. If you are truly a free individual, you should have the right to put whatever you want in your body, whether it is dangerous or beneficial. Because yes, heroin and crack may be bad for a human being to digest into their body, but so is eating nothing but cheeseburgers every day and having a high sugar diet will lead you to obesity and maybe die 20, 30 years earlier because of your unhealthy lifestyle. Smoking can cause cancer, but yet we do not cage people who choose to participate in these acts such as alcohol, cigarettes, and an unhealthy diet. So we criminalize certain aspects of things in our society while not criminalizing others. There are massive contradictions into how our society is run. And when everyone's sitting around the dinner table enjoying their turkey dinner tomorrow at Christmas time, it's these times where we should have these conversations of what are we going to do about this massive debt? What are we going to do about the foreign wars waged in our name that result in mass innocent casualties? What are we going to do about the government destroying homes, families, and killing people every day through corruption and passing ridiculous rules and laws for the politicians and for the wealthy class to ensure that they stay in power? If we do not speak up now, and try to reverse the path we're headed on right now, because right now, while I'm sending this message out to you guys, there's still time that we can turn this around. Am I saying it's going to be good? No, it's not going to be good, and it's not going to be fun. It's going to result in cuts. It's going to result in people having to live within their means, living less. But it's this deferral of gratification in the moment. We have to think about our future and stop living in the moment. Because right now we can speak out and we can address these issues and we can try and reverse them. But those of you who wish to remain quiet this holiday time and wish to not bring up these issues around the dinner table at Christmas, you're only tightening the chains around you and your family's necks. Because if you don't speak out now and this continues to get worse, it'll get to a point in which it will result in mass casualties and wars and people, like I said, rioting and looting in the streets, just trying to survive because the economy has collapsed, the government's too corrupt, and people are being caged and arrested and families torn apart for victimless crimes. You would rather remain silent right now than speak out against these acts of atrocities committed every day by our government and other human beings around the planet. You would rather remain quiet now to not buck the system, to not buck with your friends and family, to not make yourself maybe make them feel uncomfortable. Maybe be ostracized by a few of them. Right now. But it's only going to make the situation worse. Because when we get to that point, when all the financial collapse happens, the wars ramp up, the government tightens the noose around the civilian population, implements martial law because of all these financial collapse and all this other stuff that will come within the future. It'll be too late then, and the casualties will be a lot more of egregious numbers than they would be if we address this issue now. I do this video not because it's fun, not because I enjoy it really, but because I have to. Because I actually have empathy and love for my fellow human beings, and I don't want to see them suffer the way that they will suffer if we don't address these major issues in our society now. I liken it to, I see in the horizon a big storm coming. And I'm trying to warn everyone, there's a storm coming. Go get shelter. And everyone's just dancing around in the public parks, acting like everything's fine, when it is not. And those of you who wish to dance in the park while the storm is raging ahead and don't want to speak out because, well, you don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, you'll be washed away by that storm. But not only will you have yourself to blame for your own loss of life or loss of liberties that will result in this storm hitting, but your lack of ability to speak out will result in your loved ones, the ones that you are sitting around the Christmas table and claim to love and enjoy their company. Your silence will kill them all. Figuratively or in reality. Anyone who can honestly look at the current state of our society and say that we are headed down a good pathway needs to pull their head out of the sand. Every day, whether it's the debt, the war on drugs, the wars of aggression over in the Middle East, the corrupt politicians, the corrupt laws and rules that they pass to enslave the populations, is resulting in people being killed, murdered on a daily basis. There are rape kits in police departments that are not being processed because they are too busy focusing on drug-related issues. Okay? There are women who will not get justice for their rapist because there are police officers too busy arresting potheads. There are too many officers out there going after people for victimless bullshit crimes while they allow people in the government and higher up to commit crimes that result in mass atrocities. For example, the housing bubble crisis, the financial crisis in 2008 and 2007 that resulted in many people losing their homes, losing a lot of money, some homeless, all because of the gamblings of the politicians with their money. Corruption on a wide scale. The government is spying on its people, spying on you. If you've ever sent any kind of nude photos, or any of your family members sitting around the table have ever sent any nude photos, the government has those. Maybe you have a young daughter who's 14, 15, who takes her phone into the bathroom. Does it make you comfortable knowing that that phone with that camera, that could have someone watching through that camera? Your privacy is being violated. Your rights are being violated. People are being killed and murdered. Families being ripped apart from the drug war. And people still remain silent. I do this video for you guys out of necessity, because I don't want to be remembered when people look back on these events in the future. They will at least find videos and write-ups and proof that, hey, Matt Hunter didn't agree with this. I didn't sit by and give my consent to these crimes against humanity committed on a daily basis. And at least I will be remembered, if not remembered, as always resisting this. And I will not go down without a fight. But you who wish to remain silent, you are cowards, and your actions are leading to the situation that we are going into. When the American Revolution happened a couple hundred years ago, when the British government was being too tyrannical and enslaving the American population, they went to war with the British in 1776, fought against their tyrannical government, and won their freedom. But it was at a massive cost. Men who stood on the front lines in 1776 knew 100% in their minds that they would die. On the front lines is a guaranteed death. But these fathers and sons, brothers and nephews, all stood up, lined up, and took their death willingly to secure their family's future freedom. But it got to that point because of the cowardice of the population who chose to not speak out until it got to that point. That resulted in those men standing on the front line and being killed. It got to that point because those men's families and all those relatives around them probably chose not to join them in the resistance, whether physically or verbally. It is not compassion be silent in a time where you must speak out. And I will leave you with a quote now from our fellow people back a couple hundred years ago in that war. Sam Adams in 1776. I'm going to leave you with a quote from him because it's ever more relevant than today's society. And for you who wish this season, sitting around the Christmas table with your family and friends, who choose not to speak out against these atrocities, who would rather post to your Facebook bullshit, non-issue things, post selfies, post pictures of your food, post pictures of your vacations, while the world is crumbling around you, while people suffer around you, and you say nothing. So I will leave you with the Sam Adams quote, and I would encourage you guys, like I said, to speak out, to use this opportunity you're sitting around with your family and friends during these holiday times, and talk about where the future of the human race is headed and what we need to do to address these massive problems that we are facing in our society. So I'll leave you, like I said, with this quote from Sam Adams. If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the aiming contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands that feed you, and may your chains sit lightly upon you. And may posterity forget that ye were ever our countrymen. And people who have chose to not speak out in these desperate times, I have told them to leave me. They are not my family. They are not my friends. They are not my countrymen. Because if anyone can look and see this storm coming and isn't warning people about it, they're cowards and they disgust me. It's one thing to be ignorant of the knowledge, but it's hard to be ignorant in a time where knowledge is so readily available at your fingertips in your smartphone. When you could simply follow and listen to people like me and get all this information brought to you. You are cowards, and history will remember you of cowards. Well, actually, history doesn't remember the cowards. You will be remembered as nothing. You will be nothing. So join this fight, speak out in this desperate time. Or do not. At your own apparel and at your own families and friends' apparel. And don't sit around that dinner table and profess to be all about family and love and friends and the holidays when you don't really care. Because after you leave your friends and family on the holidays, you go back to your normal way of life where you conform and you choose not to speak out against the corruption. So that is all. Hope you guys enjoyed this message. Merry Christmas to you all. Enjoy the holidays. And it doesn't always need to be so doom and gloom. Yes, this may seem as a depressing video, but the situations we face are depressing, and it's time to live in reality. Like I said, rape kids go unchecked because police are too busy arresting potheads. And to you police officers who may listen to this video, you are the foot soldiers. You are the enforcers. And just saying that you are doing your job is no longer and has never been a moral justification for your actions. Nuremberg trials have taught us this, and the future Nuremberg trials will teach you this. Because you may have enslaved the populations now, you may enforce these bullshit rules and edicts now, but I do not think it will always be this way. And these videos posted on Facebook of you officers committing all these atrocities against the people will be forever backed up in the internet, and you will always be remembered as the asshole harassing populations for victimless crimes. Stop enforcing these bullshit rules and regulations for the politicians, when you know goddamn well yourself you probably break a lot of the rules that you enforce. Start going after the real criminals in Washington, the ones who wage wars, who kill a lot more than the individual, who results in financial ruin that ruins people's lives. And when you see a fellow officer committing crimes, you better damn well speak out against it. Because those officers who choose to remain silent and hide behind the thin blue line, well, the populations won't have sympathy for you guys, for the good officers out there, because they always hear the argument that, well, not all officers are bad. And I know that not all officers are bad, and there are some decent officers out there. But where are these decent officers that speak out just like I speak out for the atrocities that their fellow officers commit, in the same way I speak out with what my fellow human beings commit? If you choose not to speak out, you will be remembered for not speaking out, and you will be treated as such. So please, people, spread the message and wake up. That is all. Merry Christmas.